All right. For this deep dive, you listeners sent in a real classic.
Yeah.
The Structure of Magic by Richard Bandler and John Grinder.
That's a good one.
And it's all about like figuring out,
Yeah.
you know how really effective therapists do what they do, the ones who get these almost magical results, like Virginia Satir, Fritz Perls.
Oh, yeah, those big names.
So for everyone listening today,
Yeah.
we're going to be trying to see what you can take away from this book,
Right.
even if you're not a therapist.
Exactly.
Because it's really packed with insights about communication and how we sort of build models of the world in our minds.
It's all about that.
Which, let's face it, affects everything we do.
It really does. Yeah. And at the heart of it is this really cool idea that we don't actually experience the world directly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we create these internal maps of reality.
Okay.
And those maps, they're based on our own unique experiences, guide our behavior.
It's like that analogy of the map versus the territory.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like we just can't possibly take in every single piece of information out there.
Too much.
So our brains filter things.
It has to.
And creates these maps to help us navigate.
Yeah, and they can be so powerful.
Yeah.
These maps, I mean, they help us make sense of things, but they can also really limit us.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If they're not accurate or complete.
It's like that story in the book.
Oh, yeah.
About the prince who didn't believe in princesses or islands or even God. His
father, the king, had told him that those things just didn't exist.
Wow.
And there were none in his kingdom.
Right.
So the prince's map of reality just didn't include them.
He couldn't even perceive those things until he encountered them outside his kingdom.
Right. He had to go beyond.
Yeah, that limited experience.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder.
It really does.
What could be missing from our own maps.
Right. Absolutely.
And that brings us to the 3 universal processes that Bandler and Grinder identified.
Right.
The processes that really shape how we create these maps.
Yeah.
Generalization, deletion, and distortion.
Those are the big 3.
So these are essentially how our brains process information.
Yeah, it's like the basic building blocks. Take generalization, for example. We take like a specific experience and without even realizing it, we apply it more broadly.
Like that card experiment
I
talk about, where people were shown playing cards, but some of them were like anomalous cards.
They were messed up.
Like a red 6 of spades.
Right.
And people had trouble.
Yeah, they couldn't even see them sometimes.
Identifying those cards because they were so stuck on the generalization.
They couldn't get past it.
That spades are always black.
Their past experience created this filter in their mind that made it hard to see what was literally right there in front of them.
Wow.
I wonder if you, listening right now, can think of a time when a generalization you held might have kept you from seeing something clearly.
It's probably happened to all of us.
It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Then there's deletion, which is all about simplifying things, leaving out details. I mean, we can't possibly pay attention to everything, right? It's too much. So our brains delete information that it thinks is unimportant.
But the problem is what's deleted can sometimes cause problems.
Yeah.
Like if someone says, nobody cares about me.
Right. Classic example.
Well, what specific details
where'd they go?
Have they deleted to reach that generalization?
Exactly. And then there's distortion, which is like twisting things to fit our existing maps.
It's actually how we create art.
Oh, yeah. It's essential for creativity.
Tell stories. Imagine possibilities.
Think of like Van Gogh's paintings.
Oh, yeah.
He was distorting reality to create something new and beautiful.
But we can also distort things in less helpful ways.
Yeah, for sure.
Like when we're feeling insecure.
Oh, yeah.
And we twist things to confirm our negative beliefs.
We might filter out all the positive feedback and focus only on one little negative comment just to maintain a negative self-image.
So these 3 processes, they're constantly at work.
They never stop.
Shaping how we see the world.
Right. And what's really fascinating is our language reflects these processes.
So how we speak actually reveals how we're modeling the world.
Absolutely.
Yes, wow.
It's not just about the words themselves, but like the underlying patterns. Take nominalizations, for example. These are words that take a process, something that's like dynamic and ongoing.
And turn it into a static event.
Like turning the verb to communicate into the noun communication.
Precisely.
So instead of saying, we're having trouble communicating, someone might say, our relationship has a communication problem.
Suddenly, it's like this thing.
Yeah.
This communication problem.
Yeah, it's frozen into a thing.
Yeah. And think about how often...
It's a noun?
You might be doing this yourself.
Oh, for sure.
It's surprisingly common.
And what about deletion in language?
Think of unspecified verbs.
Okay.
Instead of saying, he hit me on the arm, someone might just say, he hurt me.
So much can get lost.
Yeah, a lot of information
in those vague verbs.
Right.
And then distortion in language.
Those are our modal operators.
Okay.
Words like should, must, can't, have to.
Right.
They often reveal hidden rules that we're living by.
Like if someone says,
I have to work late tonight.
It makes you wonder what would happen if they didn't.
Right. What rule are they operating under?
And that's where the brilliance of the meta model comes in.
Okay, so tell me about this.
So Bandler and Grinder created this set of linguistic tools, essentially questions that are designed to uncover and challenge those distortions, deletions, and generalizations.
So it's not just about identifying these patterns.
No, it's about doing something with them.
It's about using these questions to help us create more empowering maps of reality.
Precisely.
And here's the best part.
Yeah.
The meta model isn't just for therapists.
It's for everyone.
It's a powerful tool for anyone that wants to understand themselves and others better.
And that's what we're going to dive into next.
All right. I'm excited.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've been talking about these really interesting patterns in language. These nominalizations.
Specified verbs.
Those modal operators. But how do we actually use the meta model to uncover those patterns and make some positive changes?
It's really all about asking the right questions.
Okay.
Questions that challenge those distortions. Deletions, generalizations.
So let's say someone comes into therapy and says, I'm just not good at relationships.
Right.
I always mess things up.
That sounds pretty familiar.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably relate to that.
But it's also very vague, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, where do you even begin to address a statement like that?
That's where the meta model comes in.
That's where it shines.
So instead of accepting that generalization at face value, the therapist might ask, not good at relationships, in what way specifically? Or, can you give me a recent example of how you mess things up?
You're getting them to be more specific.
Yeah.
Fill in those deleted details.
It's like zooming in on a blurry picture.
Yeah.
Getting a clearer image of what's really going on.
And by demanding those specifics, the therapist helps the client move from like vague feelings of inadequacy to concrete situations they can actually work with.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about those deeper beliefs that might be driving this behavior?
Yeah.
Like what if the client says, I can't be myself in relationships.
Oh, yeah.
I have to pretend to be someone else.
There's that modal operator.
Yeah.
You have to.
It suggests a rule.
Yeah, some kind of underlying rule.
They're living by.
Even if they don't realize it.
So how could a therapist use the meta model
to
challenge that belief?
They might ask, what would happen if you did try to be yourself?
Oh, wow.
What's the worst that could happen?
It makes you think, right?
It does.
Like, what are we so afraid of?
Those questions force the client to confront the underlying fear that's keeping them trapped.
And once those limiting beliefs are brought to the surface,
once they're out in the open,
the client can start to challenge them.
Yeah.
Rewrite that rule they've been living by.
It's almost like those beliefs are a cage.
Oh, yeah.
That we've built around ourselves.
And the meta model gives us the key.
The key to unlock the cage.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And it's not just about escaping those negative beliefs.
No, it's about creating something new, something positive in their place.
Imagine that same client now, free to explore who they really are.
Connecting with others authentically.
It's powerful stuff.
It really is.
And remember how we were talking about how these modeling principles apply to more than just words? Let's talk about how therapists work with those other representational systems.
Okay.
Body language, feelings, even our senses.
Right, because sometimes words just aren't enough to capture what someone's experiencing.
Imagine a client comes in.
Okay.
And they're clearly overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Anxious, but they can't even articulate what's wrong.
I've been there.
Yeah. It's like there's this knot in your stomach.
You can't unravel.
So in a case like that, a therapist might shift the focus away from language and explore that physical sensation.
Interesting.
Like they might ask the client to describe The knot?
The knot.
Where is it located? What does it feel like?
Yeah.
What color is it?
It's like translating that vague, overwhelming feeling into something more tangible.
Something you can actually work with.
Exactly.
And by engaging with that sensation in a more mindful way, the client might uncover deeper meanings or patterns they weren't even aware of before.
Sometimes simply shifting the representational system from words to sensations can be incredibly powerful.
It's like you're speaking a different language.
A language that resonates with their experience on a deeper level.
It's about finding the right tools for the job.
The right tool for the job.
And sometimes those tools involve more than just words.
More than just words,
Remember that example?
Oh, yeah.
Of visualizing, breathing out anxiety?
It's the same principle.
So instead of getting stuck in those anxious thoughts, you're shifting to the realm of imagery and sensation.
Giving the client a new way to interact with that anxiety.
You can get even more creative.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Imagine a client struggling with a persistent headache.
Okay. Classic headache.
Instead of trying to analyze the problem intellectually, the therapist might ask them to imagine breathing out the headache into a chair.
Giving it a color, a shape, a weight.
Okay, this sounds a little out there, but I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
You're taking something abstract and painful and making it concrete.
Yeah.
Something you can interact with.
Yeah.
And potentially even release.
It's about empowering the client to work with their experience in a new way.
To find a language, whether it's words, images, sensations.
That speaks to their needs.
This is making me see therapy in a whole new light.
Interesting.
It's not just about talking about your problems. It's about finding creative ways to explore and transform those problems. Using all the resources available to us.
And it's about recognizing that each of us is a complex system with multiple layers of experience and representation.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Definitely not.
We've been talking about these techniques for addressing specific problems. But the structure of magic goes beyond that.
It does.
It's about more than just fixing what's broken. It's about personal growth. Creating a more fulfilling life.
You're absolutely right. And that's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
I'm looking forward to it. So we've spent most of this deep dive exploring how we kind of create these internal models of the world and how sometimes those models can limit us.
But what about the other side of that? How can we use these ideas to make positive changes in our lives?
That's the really interesting part.
That's where things get exciting.
Because the structure of magic, it's not just about therapy.
It's about transformation.
It's about realizing we have the power to kind of rewrite our own stories.
Create new maps of reality.
More empowering ones.
Yeah, exactly.
What are some examples of how these principles can be applied that way?
Well, let's start with personal growth.
Okay.
So imagine someone who's always struggled with self-doubt.
That's relatable.
By using the meta model, they can start to kind of pinpoint those distortions and generalizations.
I think that's familiar phrases.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not good enough, or I always mess things up.
Those can really hold people back.
Yeah, for sure.
But by uncovering those beliefs and challenging those underlying assumptions, they can start to create a new self-image. One that's based on evidence and possibility.
It's fear.
And limitation.
It's almost like rewiring your brain. Retraining that inner critic.
To be more encouraging.
To be on your side.
And the meta model can also be a powerful tool for
improving relationships.
How would that work?
So imagine a couple who's constantly arguing about the same things.
Oh, yeah. Been there.
By using the meta model, they can begin to understand the deeper needs and fears that are driving those communication patterns.
Maybe one person feels unheard.
So
they get louder and more demanding.
While the other person feels attacked and shuts down.
Just escalates.
Often those patterns are rooted in past experiences.
And unresolved hurts.
Exactly.
So by bringing those patterns to light.
Getting them out in the open.
And understanding the underlying motivations, the couple can start to communicate
right
in a more compassionate way.
Yeah.
More productive way.
It's not just about resolving
right.
the surface level conflict.
Yeah.
It's about addressing those root causes.
And, it's making me think about how often we do this with our own self-talk, too.
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
Like, we get caught in those negative loops.
And it's like
we're arguing with ourselves.
Yeah, and we can use the meta model on our internal dialogues, too.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah, become aware of those negative patterns.
Yeah, become aware of them.
And then challenge them.
Just like we would in a conversation with another person.
The structure of magic even suggests.
Yeah, it goes even further.
That we can use these principles.
Right.
On a larger scale.
To change the world.
Yeah, to create positive change in society.
It might seem like a stretch.
Yeah.
To think that understanding language can help us tackle, global issues.
Poverty, war.
Yeah, all of that.
Climate change.
But it's really about shifting our perspective.
Okay.
Think about the language we use.
Yeah.
When we talk about those things.
He's like, it's just the way it is.
Right. Okay,
or there's nothing we can do about it.
Those statements can really make us feel
powerless.
Powerless.
And they can become
they really can.
Self-fulfilling prophecies.
Exactly.
But by using the meta model to deconstruct those narratives,
break them down.
We can start to see these issues in a new light.
To identify specific actions and choices that can create positive change.
So it's about moving from a mindset and helplessness to a mindset of possibility.
Exactly.
Recognizing that even though the world is complex,
it's messy,
we can still make a difference.
It can.
Through our choices and our actions.
Absolutely.
It's been so interesting exploring the structure of magic.
It's a good one.
This whole deep dive.
Yeah.
It's given me like a whole new perspective on communication and the power of language.
To shape our experiences.
So for our listeners out there, what's like the one key takeaway?
The one thing I hope they remember is this.
Okay.
They have the power to question their assumptions, to challenge their limitations, and to create new, more empowering maps of reality.
And the structure of magic
gives them the tools to do it.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder.
It is.
That we're not just passive recipients of our experiences.
We're active creators.
And with that in mind, we'll leave you with this final thought.
Okay, hit them with it.
What would your world look like?
Ooh.
If you started asking, how specifically?
I like it.
More often.
Keep asking those questions.
Yeah.
Keep exploring the magic of your own mind and discover the incredible potential that lies within you.